let's begin by talking about the Atlanta Falcons somehow losing that game to the Carolina Panthers today. Where would you like to start?
Oh, well, as soon as I saw Lindstrom was out and I saw the weather, I was like, this isn't going to be good. This is not going to be good. They need to run the ball and Lindstrom's out. This is not good. And whew, it wasn't good. It just the lack of run game by the Falcons, which was one of the things I was legit most excited about to watch this year. And it's been week over week. Just the lack of consistency in the run game, lack of identity in the run game has been truly one of the most disappointing things I've had this entire year.
It's so weird. It's
Strange.
so weird. And I understand that collectively we were more optimistic about the Falcons than pretty much anyone else on planet Earth. But part of it was looking at what they were on offense last year and trying to project some of that moving forward. Even if you were pessimistic about Desmond Ridder and about the passing game, the rushing offense last year was elite. In every single capacity, it was elite.
Innovative. And
I understand that they had two offensive linemen out today. Drew Dahlman was hurt, their center, and Chris Lindstrom was hurt. Everyone's hurt. Everyone's got injuries along the offensive line, and this just wasn't an issue today. I'll get to some of the numbers. But last season, this team finished third in EPA per rush. Okay? They were third in rushing success rate. They returned their entire offensive line, except they swapped out their left guard for a potential upgrade in going to get Matthew Bergeron this year. Okay? He is a good player.
Yes.
This year, same numbers. They are 25th in EPA per rush this year and 23rd in rushing success rate. Today, I was watching this game, and there was that stretch early in the game where they had a 3rd and 2. They pitched the ball to Bijan. They had Tyler Algier leading up, and Frankie Louvu drops him for a loss. On 4th and 3, they run the ball again and get stuffed again with Yetur Gross-Matos just dominating Jake Matthews at the point of attack. So I go into the numbers. I'm like, God, how often did they run for a loss in this game? They're just getting pushed around by this Panthers team. 45% of the Falcons' runs in this game went for no gain or negative yardage.
Unreal.
That is the 3rd highest percentage in a game this season. The only two teams to be worse were the Steelers against the Browns on that Monday night game where they could not move the football. Yeah. It was one of the worst offensive performances of the year, and the Raiders against the Bills. Those are the two teams that were worse in that one stat than the Falcons were today. The Falcons are 24th on the season in that stat. So, yes, Chris Lindstrom didn't play and Drew Dahlman didn't play, but this is an ongoing issue. So the thought that I had kept coming back to, I was watching the Falcons today, is that this game, to me, is the biggest expression yet, even if it was in a rainstorm, that the plan they had on offense, the identity they wanted on offense, the type of team they wanted to be is a failure this year. They failed to make good on what that plan was. If you're going to draft a receiver in the top 10, you're going to draft a running back in the top 10, those guys can't have like 10 touches in a game that you lose to the Panthers. Like just everything about who they wanted to be and what I thought that the ways I thought that I would express itself has not come to fruition. And I don't know what that means moving forward. If you swap out the quarterback, which is going to be, I think, probably what they're going to try to tell us at the end of the season. It's like, we get a different guy in here and we get a stabilizing force in here, we'll be okay. But I think the issues run a lot deeper than Desmond Ridder throwing red zone interceptions late in this game.
Well, it's just the mistakes. I mean, last week, the Ridder pick 6 that happened was 2 guys just decided not to block on a bubble. And it's like they make these mistakes, these youthful mistakes week after week. And it's like, they're supposed to be ascending right now. That was my thought. I thought they'd be a 500-ish team for the first half of the year and ascend in the second half of the year. As they're all young, they come together, they start doing cool stuff. They have an easy schedule. They all season seemed, and I think Bijan's use in the pass game is kind of the perfect kind of like, microcosm of this is too much itis. They have too many ideas, too much galaxy braining, too much for a young team that should be simpler. And I watched I watched the Colts just spam RPOs. They run like 5 plays. And it's like, again, Occam's razor, just simplest answer. And I feel like so many times, and it's so hard for me. It's like, there is so much that Arthur Smith does on offense. That I'm like, well, this is great, but it's not executed well. So if the design's good, but the execution's bad, where's the issue? Like, and
I feel the exact same way. And I'm not I'm not over this. I'm not saying this is a lost cause. I don't think he's going to get fired. I don't think the staff is going to get fired. The way that their timeline has worked, this is the first time that they spent money. It's a young offense.
Team. Yeah.
This is the first time where they've kind of put their best foot forward to try to win football games under this staff. They did a very good job with a lot less talent last year than they have right now. Right. So I just think this is about coming back to the drawing board and saying, okay,
what are we?
These are the pieces that we have. Let's throw out a third of this shit and let's really kind of zone in on who we want to be. And I also think that a new quarterback probably has to come with that. Where that comes from, I don't know. But this team overall, I think, just has to kind of take a step back and go back to the drawing board on offense, because the plan that they had, who they wanted to be, has just not materialized in the way that they had hoped.
It's just, there's so many times, like you said, like go back to the drawing board. I don't know what their fastball is. Like, and that's what
it's supposed to be the run game.
And it was supposed to be
not.
And even in that run game, I don't know what they lean on. Every week, I loved, some variations that they had, but I always thought those were the knuckleballs and changeups. But instead, they're just trying to do all this stuff. There's so many times I would watch them this year. They've kind of been no-fly zoned the last couple of weeks for me, and not even all 22. I was watching them weekly. I don't watch them on all 22 anymore because I'm just like, I'm done with this.
Said that, and the fact that that's how you feel is the biggest. That is the biggest indictment, the biggest damning of the Atlanta Falcons that could possibly exist. Is you not wanting to watch them play.
Because they had so much cool stuff, and now they don't. It's like the creativity. It feels like you go from color to black and white, and that's what it just feels like when I'm watching this team. That playing in that sloppy fest game right now, today felt like how I feel watching this Falcons team. I don't know. It feels like with all these young players, like Bijan, you could tell is in his head. Like he's just so overthinking. He had a drop again today, and you could tell he's overthinking everything. He's gonna be fine. Don't get me wrong. He's so talented. It's like there's no way. London is a star. London's so good. He's such a unique player. He's good. Pitts is weird case. I'm trying to figure him out. I really have no idea what to make of Pitts. I don't,
hurt, man. I think that there's something lingering, and he just doesn't feel like he's ever gotten back to the guy he was before some of these things crept in. That to me is going to be one of those issues that potentially lingers, where we think of him as this really important building block and who this team is ultimately going to be. And I don't know if that's true anymore. I think that's something that we have to kind of take a step back and reintegrate. London absolutely is, because I think he's going to be a really, really good player. But this idea of we're going to build this kind of unconventional offense and all these positionless players, and we're going to use them in all these different ways, and we're going to be able to just grind teams down the run game, and Desmond Ridder has to be the 18th best quarterback in the league, and we'll be able to be an elite offense, that's gone. That's gone. So I just think that it has to be about taking a step back, reconfiguring who you want to be offensively, and figuring out what type of quarterback you want to put into that equation. Because right now, this is not working. And honestly, I think them losing this division and not winning it might be the best thing for them.
Because they can be in strike range for a move up. That's one thought I had.
That's part of that, but also just in terms of how long of a look you're taking at yourself, and how honest you can be about what's wrong and about how far away you are. Them winning the NFC South at 10-7, I don't know if that necessarily would have been the best thing for where this team was going.
They're playing a first place schedule next year and all that. Yeah, no. The thing is, I'm so disappointed that I really, like you said, this segment couldn't be a better name. They do have a lot that I still like, and I do think they could be very frisky next year. Like maybe I was so a year ahead on this team, but it's like they're not like it's not a morbid thing where you're like, wow, I don't know where they're going with this team. They can have so many cool pivot points, but it's going to be interesting what they decide to do.